Hello, it's Louis, and welcome to our training video on how to use a plasma cutter. To start off, let's go over what a plasma cutter is and how it's used in fabrication. A plasma cutter is a tool used for cutting through electrically conductive materials. It works by forcing a gas such as oxygen, nitrogen, argon, or even air through a small nozzle orifice inside the torch, then generating an electric arc to superheat the gas, resulting in a plasma jet. The plasma jet reaches temperatures up to 40,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is hot enough to pierce and melt the conductive material it is being used to cut. Once it melts, the gas blows out the molten material, creating the cut. At ASC, we utilize plasma cutters for cutting sheet metal, plates, and pipes to build platforms, frustums, heaters, water tanks, floor pedestals, H-slot material, bulkheads, and other parts. The plasma cutters we use can cut material up to 1 1/8 inch thick. Before turning on the plasma cutter, put on your PPE. Our standard shop PPE is a hard hat, safety glasses, hearing protection, steel-toed boots, flame-resistant gloves and sleeves, and Shade 5 glasses or a Shade 5 filter for the welding hood. The filter will protect your eyes from the bright light created by the plasma jet. Plasma cutters create hot debris that will fall toward the floor. Clear flammables at least 20 feet from the area and place a thin piece of sheet metal on the ground directly underneath the cut to protect the floor from damage. Be careful not to put your feet or any other object directly under the material while it is being cut. Additionally, the debris can be a slipping hazard, so sweep up your area after you're done making the cut. And lastly, use a fan to create ventilation. This prevents the buildup of smoke and metal fumes. Plasma cutters are located in our maintenance room and must be checked out from the maintenance department. Torch tips are pre-installed on the torch. However, if a tip is damaged, head to the maintenance department to request a new tip. Before you start cutting, check that the torch has been assembled correctly and the parts are in good condition. Check the power cord and lead for frays or exposed wires. Next, check the ground cable and make sure that the connections from the cable to the clamp is fully installed and there are no stray wires at the connection point. Then check the rest of the machine for signs of damage. Each torch tip has an amperage rating. Make sure the amperage you select on the power supply matches the torch tip rating. If you don't have an exact match, use a torch tip that is rated under the amperage from your power supply. For example, if your power supply is 60 amps and you only have a 40 amp and 80 amp tip, select the 40 amp tip. Never use a tip that has a higher rating than the amperage setting you have selected. Next, make sure your power supply meets the power requirement for the unit. Then connect the input power cable or close the main disconnect switch to the supply power to the system. Now, let's go over the two main cutting methods. The first is floating the tip. Floating the tip is when you hover the torch about 1/8 of an inch over the material as you're cutting it. Doing this will allow you to make cuts at a lower amperage. For standoff cutting, adjust your gas pressure to 70 to 85 psi or 4.8 to 5.9 bar. The second method is dragging the tip. This is when you place the tip of the torch on the material and drag it. This produces a more precise cut than floating the tip, but your consumables will wear out more quickly. For drag cutting, adjust gas pressure to 75 to 95 psi or 5.2 to 6.5 bar. When dragging the tip, lean the torch back 10 degrees, forcing the sparks away from you. If your cuts come out angled, chances are your tip is worn and will need to be replaced. If you rely on drag cutting often, consider using special parts like drag tips or standoff guides, which create a space between the plasma tip and the material, allowing the user to drag the tip without wearing out their consumables as quickly. Start by finding a level surface to set your material on. This will make it easier to move the torch and give you the best ergonomics. Practice your cut. Trace the path you will take before making the cut. Make sure you have freedom of movement. Maintain continuous contact with the material. Pausing and starting again at the same point may create irregularities in the cutting edge. Move slowly and keep a steady speed. Cutting speeds affect what happens to the dross or molten metal. Too fast will cause splashback and top spatter, results in partial penetration, and could cause your arc to deflect. However, you can also move too slowly, which leads to a buildup of dross on the other side of the workpiece. If you notice this, increase your cutting rate. Consider using a guide to make cuts. Using a guide will result in straighter cuts and consistent speed of travel. Choose a cutting direction that will be comfortable. Most operators find pulling the torch towards them is more comfortable than pushing it away. Brace your cutting hand by supporting it with your free hand. This helps maintain a steady cut, and even more importantly, it keeps your free hand from getting close to the plasma torch. Inspect consumables regularly. Worn consumables cause inaccurate cuts. And lastly, make sure your ground is clamped to the clean piece of metal that is free of oil, paint, and other material that would interfere with the connection. Let's check the gas supply. Verify your source meets requirements. Check your connections and turn the gas on. Now, turn the power switch to the on position. If you've set it up correct, the AC indicator will turn green to indicate power on. The gas indicator will turn green to indicate there is sufficient gas pressure, and the cooling fan will start. Once the machine is on, place the power supply function control knob to the set position. Gas will start to flow. In most cases, 75 psi will be fine. Place the function control knob in one of the three operating positions: run, rapid auto start, or latch. And finally, using the output current box knob, set the output current to the desired amperage. Remember, for most uses at ASC, 40 amps is all you need. You can now begin to make your cuts. Once you've finished making your cuts, release the trigger to stop the arc. Gas will continue to flow for approximately 20 seconds to help cool the torch. Turn the machine off by pressing the on and off button on the top right. All power supply indicator lights will turn off. Finally, unplug the power cord, clean up your area, and return the machine to the maintenance department. And that's it. That's everything you need to know to get started with the plasma cutter. If you're interested in learning more about other tools, check out our other how-to videos on our YouTube channel. I'm Louis. Thanks for watching.